Hello! In this video, we're going to be looking at step functions. So let me show you an example. I think if you take a look at this graph, you'll probably realize why it's called a step function. Literally, it looks like you have steps here. Now, these types of functions have breaks, so you'll notice in terms of the range, your output values, we do have some breaks. It is not considered continuous because if I were to trace along this, I would have to jump up to the next step. So anytime you have a graph and you have to pick up your pencil to trace it, it is not continuous. Now, the other thing that you need to notice on this is that it's definitely a function. It's an interesting kind of function, but it definitely is a function. It passes the vertical line test. So in other words, if I pass a vertical line through, say, right here at 1 hour, you only have one value for 1 hour. That's right here. Because this one is open, there really is no output there. The output here is down at 0. So let's take a look at answering some questions to see if you can interpret this graph here. What is the cost for 1 hour? So if I look at 1 hour, we have a closed circle here, but it's open up at 4, which means the value or your output is really down here. So what is the cost of 1 hour? Well, it's going to be free. It doesn't cost you anything. So it looks like for any time up to and including 1 hour, it doesn't cost you anything. The cost for 4.5 hours. So let's go over to 4. Here's 4.5. Okay, 4.5 looks like it's going to cost you $10. Now, what's the cost of a half hour? So 0.5 hours. Well, 0.5 would be right here. So the cost, again, is going to be free. What is the cost of 3.5 hours? Well, let's see. 3.5 would be here. If I go up to there, it looks like $6. And the cost of 8 hours. Well, if we look, 8 hours is not going to be on our graph. However, I do notice that this has an arrow on it right here, meaning that we cap at $10. They're not going to charge you anything more than $10. So for hours more than 5, anything actually greater than 4 hours is going to cost you $10. So this is a flat rate of $10. Okay, let's try another one. So this is very similar, but this one at least tells us that it's a parking garage. So what is the cost of parking for 3.5 hours? So I'm going to go over here to 3.5, and it looks like that's going to be $6. Whoops. What is the cost of 6 hours? All right, well 6 is going to be a little bit more interesting here because if I go up, I notice that it's a closed circle here, but open up here at 12. So I'm not going to use the output up here at 12. The cost is actually going to be $9. If the question asks in the next one the cost of 8 hours and 1 minute. So 8 hours, 1 minute. So here's 8 hours. Well, 8 hours would be $12, but as soon as we click over another minute, you jump up here. So 8 hours and 1 minute is actually going to cost you $15. And if I were to ask you to explain the prices in words, well, what we'd say is the price for up to and including two hours is $3. The price for So for more than 2 hours up to 4 hours is $6. The price, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, for more than, whoops, I forgot the word than here. Makes a little bit of a difference. More than, let's see, so we were at 2 hours up to 4 hours, so now we're at 4 hours up to 6 hours. Is $9 and so on. So in the next one you would say the price of 6 hours up to 8 hours is $12 and the price for more than 8 hours up to 10 hours is $15. So that's how you would explain that in words. You could also write this out as an inequality if you wanted to. So this time what I want to show you is how you could actually create a step function. So we're going to ignore the special events price, but this is actually the price of our local High Falls garage. And your first 2 hours is going to be $2 and each additional hour is $2. Okay, so let's graph this. So the first 2 hours is going to be $2. So let's put hours down here and we'll put cost. Okay, because hours is our independent variable and the cost is our dependent variable. In other words, the cost depends on how many hours we park. So the first 2 hours is $2. So the first 2 hours, here's my 2 hours right here. Now, if I'm at 0, that means I'm really not parking at all. I'm not even pulling in, because you pull in, you're going to be at however many seconds. So right here, 0, it's not going to cost you anything. But the minute you pull into that garage, any seconds beyond that, it's going to cost you. So up to and including 2 hours. So as soon as it clicks to 2 hours, boom, you're charged $2. But the second that you go over 2 hours, you're going to be charged an additional $2. So that means your cost will be $4. So I'm going to do an open circle here. I have to do an open circle here because if I park for 2 hours, it's only $2. Anything beyond that is going to cost me another $2. So as soon as I go beyond 3 hours, I'm going to jump up another $2. So you'll notice the pattern. As soon as I go over 4 hours, I jump up another $2. And oops, I missed something here. It says there's a $10 maximum here. So what that means is they're not going to charge you anything more than $10. So actually I need to take off this closed circle and do that. So there's our step function for this one. Let's try it again. So these are the U.S. Postal Service prices, and we're not actually going to deal with letters because we already did that in an earlier problem. So what we're going to deal with is your first class packages, basically your mail. So if you have anything up to and including 1 ounce, it's going to be $1. So anything up to including 1 ounce, so this is going to be ounces down here, and this will be your cost, because your cost is going to be dependent on how many ounces you have. Okay, So anything up to 1 ounce is going to be $1. So here's my dollar. Now, if it doesn't have any ounces, you're not really sending anything. So I'm going to leave that as an open circle up to here. And I'm going to put the closed circle at $1 because if it is an ounce, it will cost you $1. But each additional ounce is 20 cents more. So as soon as I go over 1 ounce, so in other words 1.1 ounces, I jump up another 20 cents. So that will be an open circle here, all the way up to 2 ounces. So as soon as I go to the next ounce, so up to 3 ounces, it's going to cost me 20 cents more. So an open circle to here, and you'll notice this pattern is just going to continue. Another ounce is another 20 cents. So an open circle here to a closed. Another ounce is another 20 cents. Another ounce is another 20 cents. And we're just going to keep going with this until we run out, because this pattern is just going to continue to grow. We're not, unlike the parking garage, it doesn't say that we're maxing out at a certain cost, so this pattern will just continue to go. So in other words, if I said, what is the cost of something that's 5.5 ounces? Well, you'd go 5, let me change my color here. 5.5 ounces would be right here, and that would cost you $2. There you go. Okay, I have a few questions that I would like you to answer. So I'd like you to do a few of them where we are going to be interpreting. Here we have a Regents question, more interpreting, and then I'd like you to try one of your own. This is for the East End Garage. We're going to ignore the special events, but I do want you to notice that we max out on this one at $8. Then I want you to try one that's a little bit harder. What you have to pay attention to is the less than or equal to. So that's going to help you figure out where your open circle is versus your closed circle. So I'd like you to give these a try and then check your answers. We will have an open Zoom session then tomorrow, so feel free to join me if you have any questions. Good luck!